Yes, people, how are we doing? So in this episode, I'm going to be talking about a murder up inside HMP Maidstone, which is a jail that houses foreign nationals, or it does primarily house them on a wing called Thanet Wing. Now this was in December 2021 when two foreign nationals come to a violent exchange and one of them ended up dead. So Sasan Rabat and Stefan Addy had an altercation. They didn't get on with each other inside the prison, and Stefan Addy became victim to Sasan Rabat. And like I mentioned, they were both 24 at the time, but this case has just come to trial now, and this trial is ongoing at the moment. But it is popping up a lot in my news app feed, so I will keep you updated on the final outcome. But of reading the case and having a look through the articles that are online, I can come to my own conclusion that I dare bet the outcome will definitely be a guilty. So before I get into the case, Sasan Rabat, who is originally from Iran, arrived in this country unlawfully, it says, which is illegally. He's come across on the boats and he's been apprehended when he got here, and he's been put into HMP Maidstone, which houses foreign nationals who are due to be deported, but there is something I need to tell you beforehand, because I did miss this important bit out. When he first arrived here, he didn't actually get caught. He came in unnoticed, and he was actually serving a 15-month sentence. And he was serving the 15-month sentence for burglary, and he had only been on that wing for 1 week before he committed the murder. Whereas the other inmate, Stefan Addy, had been on there for a few months. Now, there was nothing online I could find to see what he was serving his sentence for or whereabouts he was from, but obviously he was a foreign national. And Sasan Rabat, originally from Iran. Now, he is pleading not guilty on the grounds of diminished responsibility. So on the day of this murder, Sasan and Stefan had come to an exchange, or should we say Sasan had started griefing Stefan about the way that he smelt, because it says that he was an unclean person. He kept himself to himself on the wing and in the prison, but he was very unhygienic. He didn't get in the showers, so as you can imagine, his pad was stinking, he was stinking, and that's why they came to blows. Because during the night he was blasting his TV, he was having his radio on loud. Sasan had obviously told him, had an altercation with him beforehand, tell him to get himself cleaned up and get his music turned down. Obviously it was interfering with Sasan's mental health, which isn't an excuse for him to go on a murder, but this is what he's actually saying in his defence. So he's went into the pad after Stefan when he's had this altercation, and he's calling him a stinky little bastard. Went in the pad after him, and it says that he's used the top of the toilet cistern, which normally inside of prisons, the toilets are fixed to the wall and you can't get the porcelain off. A lot of the ones that I've been in, the toilets are actually into the wall. You've got the toilet that comes out at the bottom, but it's saying on here that he's used the porcelain bit off the top of the toilet. So it's saying that he's smashed his head in with the porcelain off the toilet and left him incapacitated on the floor, dying and bleeding out. And the medical reports have said that the injuries that he sustained, even if he had gotten medical attention straight away. There was no way he would have survived the injuries because they were so severe, and he'd used so much force in caving his head in with these. So what he's done afterwards, he's obviously dragged him and put him behind the locker so that when the screws are walking around doing the checks, whatever, he wasn't discovered straight away. One of the officers had discovered the scene when he was doing the roll call, and obviously when he was locking them up. But he did notice that Sasan Rabat's hand was bleeding, and he said he'd accidentally cut himself with a razor. And he was met with this horrific scene, and he knew something wasn't right when he seen the amount of blood inside of the pad. But then he looked over the top of the locker, found the body motionless on the floor, badly beaten and unresponsive. So when he was looking, obviously he's went out the pad and he's seen Sasan sitting on the end of his bed, and he said he just looked cool, calm and collected, not like someone who had just committed murder. But obviously when he was getting interviewed, he did admit that it was him that killed him, but he's now saying it's on the grounds of diminished responsibility. After that offence, he was transferred to HMP Woodhill, awaiting trial. But then obviously when he's been getting assessed, they've deemed him to be unfit mentally, and he's then being transferred to Broadmoor Hospital. And this is where he's having his trial. He's there whilst the trial is ongoing, should I say. They're transferring him backwards and forwards from HMP Broadmoor. But Sasan, who is originally from Iran, his defence, or what he is saying, is that he has suffered trauma back in his home country. He's witnessed his uncle getting tortured to death, and Kurdish persecution, it says in the article that I read, and that's what they suffered at the hands of the Kurds. And because of all of this, this is his defence on the grounds of diminished responsibility because of what he has witnessed back in his home country. But whilst he was here illegally, because he was arrested for criminal damage, and then he was obviously bailed, and he was living in a hostel down in Twickenham, and he was being assessed there, and he was assessed as having post-traumatic stress disorder. But wouldn't you think, if he's in this country illegally, he's got these issues, he's been diagnosed with a few different things, he could be dangerous, he's committing offences over here, but yet he's still free to roam the streets. But whilst he was on bail for that offence, he actually went on to commit a further 2 burglaries, which he was in prison for, serving the 15-month sentence. So you could only imagine, if this type of thing is happening inside of prison, what could have happened on the outside? What would have happened if he was living next door to people who are playing music loud, and he is suffering with post-traumatic stress, and then he's went on to kill somebody out here in the community? Not just another foreign national, someone who he's in prison with, which was bad enough offence, but that could have been some other person out here in the community when he is over here illegally, and he's already got these mental health problems. He's committing offences, and he still didn't get put in a detention centre awaiting deportation, which should happen if you're in this country illegally. But that is another story for another time. But I'm just voicing my opinions. Like someone like this, who can be deemed a danger to members of the public, is allowed to just commit criminal offences and walk around as though there's nothing happening. But getting back to the case, it's ongoing at the minute. But like I've mentioned, for that type of offence that's happened, he's obviously knowing what he's doing. You can't use an excuse of saying your uncle being executed and persecution from the Kurdish as an excuse to go on to murder somebody for diminished responsibility. If you're in prison and you are committing those type of offences against someone who is annoying you because the TV is a bit too loud and he stinks because he hasn't been getting in the shower, to me, that is not diminished responsibility. That is an angry person. Because I've seen it happen loads in prison when other inmates piss you off, or inmates are getting pissed off by music, especially through the night when the prisoners are trying to get their heads down and you've got some idiot blasting the TV or blasting the music and the other cons are banging on the walls telling them to turn it down. Yes, things get heated, but you don't then go in and smash someone's head in just for the sake of having your TV too loud or for not getting in the shower. Yes, everyone can get irritated, but everyone doesn't go around doing them type of things inside of prison. So coming up with diminished responsibility because of what you've witnessed back home just won't work in the court system, I wouldn't believe anyway. But I will keep you updated on this story and let you know of the outcome, because obviously, like I say, it's ongoing at the moment and it's popped up a few times. I just thought you would find that story interesting just because these don't make the mainstream headlines. Yes, they're in the papers, and yes, they're in the prison news app, and it's coming up on different articles, but it doesn't come up on the mainstream media. So I'm bringing you these stories to keep you updated about what's going on inside the prisons, because nobody hears about these murders inside of prison. Yes, there's been a few more recently, but that's because of the prison overcrowding crisis at the moment. So they are putting it into the headlines about these murders because there's uproar inside the prison system. But these type of murders go unnoticed, and the general public out here don't know nothing about them. Especially, I mean, as I'm looking into that story more myself, HMP Maidstone, I didn't realise that was actually a prison for foreign nationals myself. And I didn't realise that if you're in this country illegally and you commit a criminal offence, you will be billed, you will be put in a hostel, you will be given a roof over your head, and you will be supported. You're going on to burgle ordinary people's houses, people that have probably been out working all day, and illegal immigrants are in your house burgling your house, and then you're still getting released on bail to go and commit another burglary. But obviously the second burglary, he was then, well, it didn't even say whether or not he was remanded. It said he got a 15-month sentence. He was probably back out on the streets, roaming the streets, until he was given the 15-month sentence at courts and then sent inside of HMP Maidstone to serve out his sentence. But like I've said, what would have happened if he didn't go to prison? Would it have been an innocent member of the public that was attacked and murdered by this illegal immigrant? But I'll leave that story for leave that one there for now, people. And as usual, if you are enjoying the content, remember to comment, like and subscribe, because 70% of my viewers are still not subscribed to this channel. So go and double check, and if you're not already subscribed, hit that button. It doesn't cost a penny. Take care everyone, till the next time.